So Dusty May returned to Indiana this weekend, beat his alma mater, and he did it one day after Indiana announced Mike Woodson will not return as its men's basketball coach next season. Interesting situation. Naturally, Dusty was asked about Indiana's opening after the game. Nada, if you've got it for us, let's play that and then react.
Dusty, many of these Indiana fans have made it clear they'd like you maybe as their next head coach. Would you have any interest in the job?
I mean, first of all, it's flattering when you have the path that I had and have. I'm still on that same path. It's it makes you feel good because what's your competitive advantage as a student manager that transferred in from as a marginal Division II player, and you just think back and it's like, man, you really all I did was show up with great energy and passion for this game and helping people every day, and because of that, I think people always saw something or believed in me, and then you get to this point. But that stuff's crazy. I mean, I love being at Michigan. I love our team. We're fighting like crazy. That's it. I mean, this place is my foundation, but I'm very, very happy at the University of Michigan. Came here to win a game, and mission accomplished.
Do you have any message to Michigan fans that might be worried right now?
I mean, there's nothing I can say that's going to make this one way or the other. I love being at Michigan. That hasn't crossed my mind other than just what friends and family have said, and to be honest, I've eliminated all that. So.
Okay, so he said a lot of things there. Among the things he did not say, I will not be the coach at Indiana. He did not say I will definitely be the coach at Michigan. What'd you make of how that went down?
A lot of thoughts here. One, take into mind the human being here who has said and long said, like, when he first got the FAU job, like his dream job was to one day coach a high school basketball team in Indiana. And now the idea that at this stage of his life, he's taking questions about potentially being a high target of interest for his alma mater. He's on some level that's got to feel surreal for him. And listen, Saturday was loaded, so I didn't have time to dig into the transcript. I don't know if he got into his feelings about coaching there. I have to imagine this. I think I said this on the Friday show. That had to have been like as cool, as super weird as possible for him. This was a student manager under Bob Knight, so just keep that as context. He did not say no. It's also smart not to say no in that spot. Like, he's like, what else can I say? Well, technically, Dusty, you could say, listen, I just got to Michigan. Indiana's an incredible place, but I am committed here, and they can call anybody else. It's not going to be me. He could have said that for any number of reasons. He didn't say that. Really good questioning by the reporter who asked him, and good on Dusty May for taking the questions, because we're not getting out of this segment without addressing how the other side of this mishandled this on Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, Dusty May is a logical potential candidate that should be of high interest for the University of Indiana, but one of many that I think that are in that bucket. And good on him for answering it the way that he did. I thought it was about as much as you can expect, while at the same time, I mean, answering it that way, it's like you dialed up the anxiety levels for both fan bases in the process. Like both fan bases. So, because Indiana fans will take this, they won't run with it. They will sprint naked down the street with it until they're told that he's not a viable candidate. And meantime, Michigan, you've got this really good program. You get a win on the road. You're trying to win a Big Ten regular season championship. Your program won 8 games a year ago. Are we really going to have to go and try and find another coach in a year's time? Is that going to be our fate next month? What are your thoughts?
Lots. First off, there is something else Dusty could have said if he wanted to. Like when the reporter, and I appreciate, and I apologize, I don't know the names. I can't see the faces. I don't recognize the voices. I don't know who these people were, but they handled this well. They did their job. They asked a question. They asked a follow-up question. That's the way you're supposed to do it. So when the question is there anything you'd like to say to Michigan fans, and Dusty says, well, there's nothing I can say. Oh, well, yes, there is. You could say, are you kidding me? I'm going to be the coach at Michigan. This is like, what are we even talking about? Yeah, this is where I went to school a long time ago. But man, I'm the coach at Michigan, and I'm going to be the coach at Michigan next year. There's nothing else to talk about. He could have said that. I would not have advised him to say that. I don't think he should have said that. I think it's counterproductive to say that. I'm almost at the point where if I were a college basketball coach faced with these types of situations, I think, or if I were giving advice to college basketball coaches, I think this is where I'm at. I would have a standard policy as a basketball coach. I do not discuss job openings. I'm sorry. I just don't do it. The Knicks job, the Indiana job, an AAU job, I don't discuss them. You guys can if you want to, but respectfully, I understand the question, but I don't talk about these types of things publicly. I mean, entertainers do this all the time. They just say, I don't talk about my personal life, or I don't talk about my marriage, or I don't talk about my ex-wife. They have boundaries, and they say, I'm not talking about this stuff. And I think
sure, but that doesn't prevent the media from still, like, just even if a coach did that, doesn't mean the media shouldn't ask about it.
I didn't say the media shouldn't ask. I said if I were the coach, that's the way I think I would handle these questions. Because you ready for this? There's no other good way to handle it. You cannot satisfy everybody no matter what you say. And if you tell the truth, if you say what people want you to say, it's not good for you. And if you tell the truth, it's also not, your fans go crazy. Because here's the truth. Here's the truth. Dusty May, the Indiana job just opened. That's where you went to school. I'm sure on some level, I know you said it hadn't crossed your mind, but I doubt that's true. It had to have. It crossed my mind. It had to have crossed his. Wouldn't it be weird if it crossed my mind, but not Dusty's?
Obviously.
Okay. So, there's nothing good he can say in that moment, and
I thought he mostly said pretty good stuff in that moment, though. Like,
except you take the story and you just like you said, you take it up a notch.
You do. I get that. Short of saying I'm not going to coach at Indiana, which he shouldn't say. By the way, I understand that you're advising coaches. I'm strongly advising against that. I want as much on the record admission about job openings and curiosities and speculation from coaches we can get. Please do not shut up. As a member of the media, take the exact opposite approach. That's my counsel to every single coach in America.
I'm saying if I were a coach, this is what I would do. If I were a reporter, I would ask the question. And if I were a coach, this is how I would answer the question. I don't talk about job openings. Never have, never will. You guys can talk about it all you want. I don't do it. All right? Just boom. Ask again. I'll say the same thing. Because nothing you actually can say is good for you. We hold, and this is really my point, we hold coaches to an impossible standard with this stuff. And I don't mean me and you or reporters or journalists. I mean fans, people. In what other world are you working a job, presented with a job opportunity, and within seconds, oh, by the way, not even presented with a job opportunity, just like people think you might be good for it. And then within 24 hours of that job opening, and without you even having a single conversation with anybody at that school, you are expected to be in front of cameras and definitively say where you're going to be next year. That is insane, because it's not the way I would handle the situation. It's not the way you would handle the situation. If you were offered, if your contract had an out in it, and there was somebody out there that like really wanted Norlander, and they were thinking about coming after you. Imagine if right now I was just like, Matt, answer the question: are you going to be at CBS Sports next year or not? I need to know right.
Yes. The answer is yes.
I need to know right now. All right. But you know what? If you say that, now let's just play this out, and you actually have somebody on the other side interested in you, you've just given up all your leverage with CBS Sports. Similarly, if Dusty May says what Michigan fans want him to say yesterday, which is, I'm going to be at Michigan no matter what. If Indiana wanted me, they should have fired this dude last year and come and get me out of FAU. But you missed the boat on that. So now I'm building the thing that's going to be your nightmare for the next 2 decades. You missed out. All right. If he says what Michigan fans want him to say, he's just lost any leverage he might have with Michigan. So here's what if you got Indiana really coming at you, you know what you tell Michigan? If you don't want to go to Indiana and you already know that, you know what you say, Michigan? Hey, I want to stay, but you got to make me stay. I need $8 million a year in NIL, guaranteed, with a $500,000 increase. Whatever it is, I don't care. But that's the thing you've got to be doing, is using this and any other opportunity to enhance the place where you're at, if you're planning to stay there.
Yeah.
And if you're actually interested in the Indiana job, well, you can't say that in the middle of the season. So
sure would be entertaining if he did.
So it's just best to say nothing. It's just best. I actually had a conversation with Tom Izzo about this one time, and it's so long ago, I don't think he would mind me saying this. If he does, I apologize, Tom. But I think it speaks to this. You remember when he was a candidate for the Cavs job?
Remember, he has talked about it publicly often. So I think you are good, because yes, go ahead.
Well, we're on the phone one day, and he actually says, what do I do? What you tell me? All you guys are out there criticizing me. because I'm not handling this the right way. What should I do? Because here's the truth. It's an opportunity to maybe coach LeBron James, maybe the greatest player of all time. As much as I love this place, don't I have to think about that for 5 seconds at least? But if I say, yeah, I'm going to think about it, my fans are going to go crazy. So I'm expected to just say, no, of course not. I would never even think about coaching LeBron James. But that's not the truth. Who wouldn't think about coaching LeBron James? And he was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. You tell me. And I said, there's no good thing you can say, because you're exactly right. If you say the honest thing, which is, I've been presented with an incredible opportunity and I'm at least got to think about it, that is considered not good enough. And if the honest answer that most of us would have is considered not good enough, what is the point of even entertaining the question?
I know. Well, that's also based. I mean, one, it's sports. It's in many ways it's unlike anything else. And two, yeah, it's because there's a certain faction of every fan base that's going to respond in very harsh tones, and so that's why they do this. Can we get to Woodson though? Do you just should because if you think it should apply on the other end, then we're going to disagree here. Mike Woodson and Indiana. Now I wasn't in the room, obviously, but a multiple reporter sent this out. They lose the game. They lose it close. At least they fought back and they put it in doubt. But then 24 hours after Indiana, less than 24 hours after Indiana issues a press release publicly acknowledging that this will be Mike Woodson's last season, the assembled media is told Mike Woodson won't be taking questions and don't ask any questions about the impending coaching vacancy. Sorry, this is amateur hour stuff. I'm not saying it has to be an 18-minute therapy session, deep dive on what went wrong and why you got to leave. You can take 1, 2, 3 questions about what it means to coach at Indiana, how you arrived at this decision, and anything else. It's a joke that they actually did that because the fans, and in particular Indiana fans, who are just starving to have a relevant program and are so over this year after year after year of not having a team that can operate on a top 10, 15, 20 level and want more insight and want insight from their head coach who has ties to this program going back more than 4 decades. The idea that this was released publicly and acknowledged by the athletic director, and then they went to the postgame. Dusty May took more questions and said more about the Indiana coaching job than the current Indiana coach. It's an absolute joke. Take it away.
Well, of course, if I'm saying, I think, and I'm not speaking specifically about Dusty, I'm just broadly speaking, when you are a coach and you are in this situation, like, hey, who's that? Like TJ Otzelberg will probably get asked the same thing at some point, right? And I just think I think you're better off at this point just saying, I do not discuss coaching openings anywhere. I find it disrespectful to my employer and my fans, and these are not conversations that I will ever have comfort. However you want to say it, but that should be the point. But the Mike Woodson thing's totally different. Like, when you are a coach with a job being pursued by other jobs and asked to talk about it, almost nothing you can say is good, unless you're just guaranteed. You already know I'm not leaving. Like you're Mark Few, and you're just like, I'm not leaving Gonzaga, so I don't care who calls or what job opens. I'm not leaving here. Outside of something like that, I just think you're better off not answering the questions. The Mike Woodson thing's totally different. This is, hey, man, you've been our head coach for 4 years. And now you've decided you don't want to do this anymore. That's at least what they told us. I'm not sure that's true, but whatever. You're not going to be the coach anymore. Let's talk about it. What do you think went wrong? What advice do you have for the next coach? What advice do you have for the fan base? Because you're just the latest in a long line of Indiana coaches. They all end this way. They all get fired. So, let's talk about it. For them to put him off limits, or at least that topic off limits, is crazy. And yes, amateur hour. It was chicken shit. It's embarrassing. Like you're a Big Ten institution, a blue blood program. Act like one. Your basketball coach can't take questions about his job when that's clearly the biggest.
Coached the New York freaking Knicks, man. Like it's not. I mean, what are we doing? It just, someone in the chat's asking, like, what would you want him to say? It's not what I want him to say. The fan base deserves to hear from the coach about his job status after, in particular. Like, I think it should be on. It should be in bounds regardless. But when your university and your boss has publicly disclosed this, and this is your first immediate media availability after that, it shines a little more light on why. And these aren't directly correlated, but like why Indiana is where it is thinking like this can sometimes seep into different parts of your athletic department, and it illuminates why you're in this place to begin with.
Right. Yeah. It's embarrassing. Like so embarrassing that if I were Mike Woodson, I would have said, no, you can't put me up there and put a muzzle on me.
Yeah.
If Mike is the one who requested that, then shame on him. And if the school put that on him, then shame on them. And if the school would have put that on me, I would have said, no, I got to talk. Otherwise, I'm going to be the one that looks like an idiot sitting up here saying, I'm not talking about nothing. Yeah. And there are stuff I want to hear from him if I were an Indiana fan. What went wrong? Why do we keep having to fire coaches? From your perspective, you've been around this place. You've coached here. You've played here. You love this place. What's the issue? Are the fans? Do the fans make the job one of the greatest jobs in the world, or do they make it more complicated than it needs to be? Let's talk about it. Like you have lived this. Talk about it. He should, and that they did that he didn't was embarrassing. I don't know what else to say about it. Just
yeah.